We're here with Ramesh Srinivasan, who is a professor in information studies at UCLA. We've been talking about some of the issues that we've been facing in the digitized world, and I promised you guys solutions. Ramesh has some suggestions.
Yeah.
Let's get to it.
Okay, well, and more than anything, and I've been arguing for this in my new book called Beyond the Valley, which will be coming out in October, which I'd love to talk to you all more about, is we need something which is what I'm calling as a data bill of rights. So what does that mean? Well, okay, it's one thing to think about regulating the tech companies, but actually this issue that we've been discussing today is not just about the tech companies. It's about data that is being grabbed from us at all times. Anytime we use a card that has any sort of digital footprint, a digital transaction like our credit card or a card at Rite Aid or whatever, or our phones with the GPS, or obviously when we go onto social media platforms, data is being grabbed from us. And we need to understand what's being collected about us at what times, for what purposes, and who has access to that data. And we also need to understand what types of data are being accessed for how long a period of time. Because if I gather data about someone, say when they're 18 years old, and it was available to a potential employer or a life insurance policy when they're 40 years old, is that really fair? Because that's actually massive surveillance on a scale we've never had before that is happening here. So I think that's the first thing, and government can intervene in creating greater transparency around these issues. To some extent, this is being applied in the European Union with the protection rights, the GDPR. But also I think what's really important is we need to understand we're going through a massive wave of economic transformation in relation to technology. There are some estimates that over 30% of current jobs are going to be automated, replaced by machines.
30%.
There are some estimates that say that. And what we're not doing is identifying the dignified, secure paying, benefits supportive jobs of the future. We're just thinking about this as work and labor as costs that are just dispensable. I mean, we, not you and I, but those running this whole world, right? And so this is really, really troubling unless we deal with this right now. We need to identify jobs that work with changes in technology. Automation has happened before, like forklifts are an example of automation, and we need to ensure that there's economic security for everybody. So one of the big hot topics is the so-called universal basic income, pay everybody some money through these transformations. But for me, that's kind of a lipstick on a pig solution. It just says, hey, this problem is massive economic inequality in this digital transformation. Let's just give everybody some money so they can continue to be consumers of Amazon, right? It's very self-serving, and a bunch of candidates are running on this platform, including,
Andrew Yang has that as part of his platform. I've never heard anyone critique it from that perspective, and it's fascinating.
A system that's extractive, that's pulling money through this 24/7 surveillance, like surveillance capitalist system, pulling data out of people to make them more prone to whatever it is these companies want, is not a system that is resolved simply by paying everybody $100 a month. It's not good enough. So what we need, there are estimates showing that Uber workers, gig economy workers, which is on its way to automation, right? Workers are considered dispensable. Costs are to be lowered. Valuation is to increase. So what we need to do is guarantee economic security to all these people by finding them secure work. They should be having access to things like portable benefits, right? Like if I drive for Uber 10 hours, work 20 hours for TaskRabbit, those benefits should all be shared by those different employers. We need new ways of collectively bargaining in the digital economy through models like guilds. And there are actually a lot of examples we can look at right now. We can also look at this idea of cooperatives. What if workers involved in these data and tech companies had greater equity in these businesses as well? None of this is happening right now. If you look at companies like Airbnb or Amazon, they own almost nothing. They employ almost nobody. If you go into an Amazon fulfillment center, it's full of robots. What happened to the people? And the people that are there are being monitored with wristbands. It's inhumane. This is what Marx was writing about many years ago. This is what Taylorism was. So we need to get back to dignity and humanity as a society. Otherwise, this tech world is going to make things even worse and more unequal, which is not what we wanted with the internet.
You're absolutely right. And I feel like this is an issue that everyone can agree to, both Democrats, Republicans, independents, regardless of where you stand ideologically. This is something that all of us are feeling, some of the economic downsides of these advancements. So how do we get to a point where our lawmakers actually listen to us, right? Yeah. Because right now, I would argue that our lawmakers are doing a great job in making it seem as though we all disagree on this issue, but I don't think there really is much disagreement.
No, there are many more agreements than there are disagreements. Actually, if you just look at American people, which we see across the board, right, with Medicare for all or the Green New Deal, things that you all like bravely and courageously cover on this network. But it's also true with this tech transformation world. So what we need to do is pressure them to get out of corporate pockets and to really ensure that these lawmakers are accountable to all of us. And there are some ways of doing that, right? Like while the internet has been extractive, it also brings working class people together, like we see with the Bernie campaign, right?
Yes.
And so this is all of this is possible. And I just want to make this last point, which is the internet is incredible, it's efficient, it's here to stay, it's infusing itself into everything, but it was largely funded through government investment, through public investment. But who is reaping the returns of that internet? Private corporate power. So that has to be balanced. And that's what I'm arguing for in Beyond the Valley.
Oh, did you like that video? Well, that's great, because you never have to miss another episode of No Filter. All you have to do is just hit the subscribe button below and ring the bell to get notified whenever we publish a new video.